Ka-chow!
Welcome back to Girlie Garage. Today we are going to talk about 5 things that you can do yourself to keep you out of the mechanic. So if you're seeing that rapid blinking of a blinker, that means that one of your blinker bulbs is out. Now what that's actually doing is it's removed half of the load. So because there's less load, it's literally blinking faster. So the side that it's blinking faster on is the side that you have either the front or the rear out. Now, a lot of our vehicles nowadays on the display, it'll say you have a certain bulb out. And the nice thing is you can actually zoom in on your owner's manual and find out exactly which bulb you need so that you don't have to take it out and then go to the store. Now, a lot of times our auto parts stores nowadays are very well trained human beings, and what they'll do is they'll help you replace the bulb if you purchase it from them. So sometimes you can have that done for free. Now, we are going to show you how to do this yourself. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to turn all the way to the index, and I'm going to look for turn signals, which is page 120, 122. And when I get to 122, it shows me how to operate the turn signals, and then what it says is if I need to replace the light, check page 374. So we're going to go to the back. Now 374 says some really interesting stuff in here. Number one, it has all of our light bulbs. So I knew that to go to the store, I needed a 3457 NAK for this light bulb. It was super easy to find it on the shelf, 3457, and that is that amber bulb. That's why it has A in the name. So now I have my turn signal bulb and I can replace that without having any extra help, without having to take it out in advance. Now, the funny thing about turn signals is specifically for this car, it says front turn signal, side marker taillight and backup lights, and high mounted stoplight. You need to have them fixed by your dealership. Now, the reason that is because if you look in this area, our turn signal bulb is this one, which is tucked all the way back here. So in order to reach it, we are actually going to need to take the bumper off. So for today's demonstration, we're going to talk about one of the easier bulbs to reach, which is our headlight bulb. So if you look for our headlights, you can notice that our high beam and our low beam, so let's say for example our low beam was out, you'd literally be able to reach in here, go lefty-loosey on your bulb. Now it is a good idea to do this wearing gloves, or do not touch the bulb with your bare hands because you have oil on your skin, so that actually causes this to burn out quicker. Now the fastest way to actually check and see if a bulb is burned out is, see that little filament in the middle there? It will look burned, or there will be a piece missing from it. Now this bulb is good, so we're going to go ahead and put it back. In order to put it back, you just reverse the procedure. And we put that back in righty-tighty. Now, if you had needed to know where this was for your specific vehicle, your owner's manual is going to be the guide to that. So again, for your headlight, it's super straightforward. You have step-by-step instructions and pictures in here on how to change those headlights. We are going to be using this as a resource today. If you do not have an owner's manual, you can usually find a free PDF of this online or find your favorite YouTube video. You should always confirm that your repair was complete by testing the thing that you repaired. What is coolant? Why is it important? And what do we do if it's low? Now, number one, this is our coolant reservoir right here. You can actually cheat by looking at the top. You can see where it says coolant. And there has a full line right here. You can see the F, and a low line right here, and we are somewhere right there in the middle. So technically speaking, we're where we need to be, but we could always put a little bit more in there. Now, coolant is almost like the sweat in our bodies. It keeps our bodies cool. So in this case, it keeps our engines cool. Now, this is a hybrid. We actually have 2 different coolant containers because we have 2 different engines. We have the internal combustion engine and the electric engine. So make sure you're also checking this coolant container. We have a full and a low line on here as well. Now, we want to make sure our car is running cool, or in some cases it's also called antifreeze. So in the winter time, it helps so that our car does not freeze on the inside. So those are the 2 very important jobs of coolant or antifreeze, and you have 2 different types. Now, you have some coolant. Most coolant that's available is a 50-50 pre-diluted mix. Sometimes you'll have a coolant option that is see how this just says long life antifreeze coolant? That is concentrated and actually has to be diluted. You can't just put this directly in your engine. This one you can put directly in. Now we are going to dilute this with distilled water. You want to make sure you're never using actual water because it has minerals in it. And I have a lovely measuring container here. This is an old tea pitcher, and it makes it really easy to just make those measurements happen right away. We're gonna do half there. We don't need a ton. You saw how that level was on there. And we're gonna do the half of this one and go to that first line. There we go. The last thing that we need is a funnel. You wanna make sure that your funnel is clean before you do this. So we're gonna take this tube all the way out, kind of let it dribble there. And then put our coolant in, and you can watch that level rise. There we go. Now, it is important to understand why you're missing coolant. There's a couple reasons. Number one, it could be leaking, or number two, it could also be being consumed by the engine. So it's super important to understand where your coolant went so that you can fix that original problem. One really big safety thing I want to talk about with this is that while your coolant is hot, it is very hot and usually under high pressure. So this system right here is not under high pressure, but if it were under high pressure, it would literally say, do not open while hot, or never open when hot. A lot of times it'll have a picture of hot coolant and a big X with a no hand there. So make sure that you never touch it while it's hot. That literally just means that you haven't run or operated your car. So before you drive your car for the day. Now we're gonna go talk about a loose battery cable, and in this car, the battery, the 12-volt battery is in the trunk. One of our most common problems we're going to experience with our cars is a dead battery. Now, the 12-volt battery is something that dies on average every 3 to 5 years, so it's something that you should be familiar with. Now, our 12-volt battery is in the trunk here, and what we're going to do is when we go to start our car and you hear that ominous click, or you hear nothing but like the electronics are still coming up on the dash, you want to make sure that your battery cables are tight. So what does that look like? We're going to come in here, and you want to look for less corrosion and that the cables are tight. And when you do that, if for any reason the cables are loose, it usually takes a 10mm wrench. Now this is a very simple tool that you should definitely keep in your emergency toolkit. So you would come in here and you would just tighten that down until it doesn't wiggle anymore. We're going righty-tighty as if we were looking at the head of the bolt. Now that is secure. And go ahead and try starting your car. Hopefully that was all you needed. You might need a jump at this point, but that's one of the first things you want to check for to make sure that you can take care of this on your own. There is something else with this. Now, if you have a dead battery and you also have a friend, you can take both these battery cables off and go get the new battery and then put it in yourself. And now you don't have to rely on towing your car to a mechanic or figuring out how to get your dead car somewhere. You can take the battery out, go get a new battery, and put it in. The next thing that we're going to talk about is how to change your windshield wiper blades. Windshield wipers are a safety feature, not just when it's raining, but also when you're driving on any sort of road trip or through dusty conditions, through buggy conditions. You need these so that you can actually see. Now, it's pretty easy to tell what size you need. You can look it up online, you can go to the auto parts store, they'll look it up for you. You can call the auto parts store, they'll look it up for you. But when you get them, you want to make sure that you have the same size before you take them off and put them back on. Now, this is a pretty straightforward process for most vehicles. Most vehicles have a J-hook type. Now, it's called a J-hook because it literally looks like a J-hook. So I'm actually going to trade you sides so that you can see. So for this type, we are going to take this little protector down. Sometimes you'll have this, sometimes you won't. If you don't have this, the likelihood that you have a little switch under here to push is very high. Once that's undone, you're gonna just pull down towards the car, and that will unhook this J. Now you can really see the shape of that. What that's doing is going right over this curve. So that's how we're securing that. Again, to put it back on, you would want to line up the J with its little happy space. I'm going to make that nice there, and then we're going to clip that and close it. You can actually see the difference in this one here. See that J hook there as well? And then to take these on and off, it was the same exact style of this pinch type.
Yeah.
Some of them come with different adapters. If you have like a Mercedes or a German car, a lot of times they make them a little bit differently, but the process is still very similar. Make sure that you recycle these if you can, and otherwise throw them away or use them for an art project. Next, we're gonna go inside the car and talk about a loose trim panel. Now, loose trim panels can be super annoying, but how the heck does this happen? Whenever you install any sort of aftermarket product, whether it's like a camera or extra gauges or something that needs wiring, a lot of times they'll take these panels loose, and when they come loose, sometimes these little plastic clips will break. So a lot of times the quickest fix is to get some of these new trim pieces that are correct for your car, and you're gonna stick them back where they live. And then you're gonna line everybody up. And just like that. Now, something like this, you wanna be incredibly cautious. You'll see the label here where it says SRS side curtain airbag. Please, please, please be very careful if you're ever working around airbags. It's a good idea to disconnect the 12-volt battery and let it sit for 3 minutes just in case, but also make sure that you're not in here with any sort of metal tools. Trim, it's always a good idea to use plastic so that you don't scratch it. I decided to give you 2 extra bonuses. We're actually going to talk about how you can change your own cabin air filter next. The cabin air filter for this car is actually behind the glove box, and we're already here. So we're going to drop the glove box, take this little shoulder off, and then this you can either push together, or I like to pull apart and down. Sometimes it's a little easier. So what I'm doing is pulling apart. And then behind here, we have our cabin air filter. Now you can see where this says up. All I had to do was push these 2 little plastic tabs together, and this came out. And then we're gonna grab our air filter out. Now it's important to make sure that when you grab this out that you leave it level, because you can see all the weird little like sticks and bugs that are on here. And it's also important to notate the direction of airflow. So when you take this filter out, you need to go put the same one in the same exact order, with the airflow going up in this case. And then we're going to put our plastic cover back on. And then we'll put our glove box back up and put all of our stuff back in it. Okay, so when you get these on their perch, you'll actually hear it click. And then put the glove box back. We're going to put our shoulder back on. You go fishing in here for this. And then you want to check that it operates correctly, just like that. Then you put all your stuff back in. Now, the importance of a cabin air filter. This actually filters the air that comes into the cabin, so what you're breathing. Now, if you're smelling that mildew smell, or you've just gone through a really dusty area, or you don't know if you've ever changed this, then it's probably a good idea to do so. Now, you can go to the auto parts store, you can give them your license plate number, they'll look up what type of vehicle you have, and ask them for a cabin air filter. This part should run you about $20. The last bonus we're going to share with you is the engine air filter. So our engine air filter. Now, our engine air filter protects the lungs of our vehicle. It also makes sure that you're getting the best gas mileage. The easiest way to find that is to follow where the air comes into the engine, and then you can see the giant box that air filter is housed in. Now, most engine air filters take no tools in under 5 minutes to change. This vehicle takes 1 tool, which is our 10mm wrench, and we are going to go ahead and loosen the 2 10mm bolts on this side. Now, these are not very tight because they are in plastic, so we want to make sure that when we go to tighten them that they are very just snug, because we don't want to break the plastic. Now, these are also captive screws, so that means they do not come all the way out. They actually stay captive. Then, if you can see this little piece here, these are hooked in, so we are going to come up and off of that plastic part. So I'm going to put one hand here and one hand on the back, and then I can grab out my engine air filter. Now, the side that matters is this side. So other than that leaf, go away. That's actually pretty clean, which means that we are getting the best gas mileage possible. Now, how can you find this? You can go to any auto parts store, give them your license plate number, same thing with your engine or cabin air filter. Make sure that you ask for this. This should be a $20 part. Now, you should be checking this at least once a year, and if for any reason you go through somewhere really dusty, or you go through a grasshopper storm or something like that, make sure that you're changing this more often so that you get the best gas mileage and you're also taking the best care of your car. Well, we've given you 5 topics plus 2 bonus ones to make sure that you save yourself money in preemptively visiting a mechanic. Now, make sure that if you had any questions to drop them in the comments. We do have a ton of these full-length YouTube videos associated with all of these on the channel. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little bell button so that we can keep making awesome content for you every week.